Hey, what's up, everybody? Josh here. Welcome to the R-Rated Show. Welcome to my review and the final episode of The Mandalorian. This is episode 8, The Redemption. And, man, I've really enjoyed this show a lot. I thought it was really good. There was one episode I didn't really care for. That was episode 4, where they go to a farming planet that's being sort of terrorized by this group of bandits. And Mando meets Cardoon, and they team up to try to help these people get out of a situation. I thought it was a little bit lazy writing. I thought the directing was the weakest, and I thought it was very derivative, and a distraction away from the main storyline. That was the momentum that was going on. But other than that, one episode, which wasn't terrible, just I thought it was the weakest one. The whole season was really good. Some episodes that were strung together were stronger than other episodes, obviously. But the series started out very strong and ended very strong and had some pretty good stuff in the middle, save that one episode, episode 4. But that being said, this series, I've been hearing some other YouTubers that are big out there. Some big YouTubers that I don't want to name names, but I was listening to them live stream about the show, kind of giving it shit, saying it was a weak show, it was boring, and that it's not really a big deal, and whatever. I have to disagree with you wholeheartedly, man. I mean, I respect you. You're a good YouTuber, but I think you're being overly hard on this series, this show that was put together, sort of the brainchild of Jon Favreau and John Filoni. Um, Take that back. Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni came up with this. I think they helmed it and did a really good job. I thought most of the episodes were directed excellently. There was really good character development, really good characters in general. It was fun. It was lighthearted. It could sort of jettison the mythos that was set in place that the original trilogy followed, which was the Joseph Campbell hero's journey, which was some pretty heavy shit. And it kind of just took out the Western vibe, which the original trilogy had too, but they sort of took a spaghetti Western approach to Star Wars, which fit the character of the Mandalorian really well, and it fit into the world of Mos Eisley and Tatooine really well, and some of the other, mainly around that planet, but there's other planets in the TV series, of course, but it worked really well for the bounty hunter vibe. And so everything kind of made sense, and it was simple and it was fun, and the pacing and the vibe of the jokes and the humor and the character building all fit into Star Wars really well, and it made a lot of sense for me. So I really liked the show. I think when something good happens in the Star Wars universe, let's rejoice, let's enjoy it. People are saying that Baby Yoda is pandering to the normies and all this crap, and I'm like, you know what, fuck that. But I understand, like, look, a cutesy character is definitely pandering to people. I get it, because it's got the big eyes and it's cute, and it seems like a lowest sort of common denominator type of thing to do, to pander to people. But I think this character is more to that. Was the Porgs like that? Absolutely. And nobody really likes the Porgs, let's be honest. Baby Yoda, something about him that you can't put your finger on. He skyrocketed to the zeitgeist. People love Baby Yoda. I like Baby Yoda. Whenever he does something in the show, I'm just laughing hysterically. He brings lightness and humor to the show. It's just a lot of fun to have a character like Baby Yoda. We know it's not Baby Yoda. It's not Yoda. It's some other character, but we don't know the name of the species of Yoda. We don't know the name of the character yet. Technically, the name of the character is the child, but everybody calls him Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda's in the zeitgeist. People love him, and let's just enjoy it. Let's enjoy the character. All right, now that rant's over, let's get into the show. We've got a lot to go through because it was an action-packed episode. A lot of story happened, and I got a lot of slides here. So let's recap the show. In the last episode, Baby Yoda was captured by these two biker scouts that were sent out that are working for Moff Gideon, our main villain, right? So played by Giancarlo Esposito. Great character actor. We know him for Breaking Bad. Moff Gideon wants Baby Yoda. And we know that the client that was played by Werner Herzog worked for Moff Gideon. So he's dead now, was taken out by Moff Gideon. who's like a really great villain. We really feel the coldness of the Empire there. Kills his own people. So he killed Werner Herzog's character, the client, when he attacked the client's, I guess you'd say, his hideout, and trying to kill Mando and Cara Dune and Greef for hiding out in this hideout, right? So we are establishing that Moff Gideon is a force to be reckoned with, and he wants that Baby Yoda. He wants to weaponize that Baby Yoda, and he wants that power, right? So as Quill is taking Baby Yoda back to the ship, as we saw in the last episode, well, the biker scouts get the best of him, and they kidnap Baby Yoda. They're bringing Baby Yoda back to Moff Gideon, and there we see Baby Yoda peeking through. They're waiting on the outskirts of Mos Eisley for the order to bring the Baby Yoda back in, because they know Moff Gideon is not one to be trifled with, and Moff Gideon is taking care of business at the moment, and they've radioed in that they got Baby Yoda, but they're not going back in until they get to say so. So we get this little sequence here, which is pretty funny. A humorous moment between these two biker scout characters. One of them is played by Jason Sudeikis. Not sure on the other one. But they're kind of sitting there joking around about what's in the bag. What is it? Is it a pet? Is he going to eat it? And let me see it, and he's curious about it. It was a cool little moment between these two. I thought it was maybe a little too long, but they're, kind of playing up on the sort of, the low intelligence of these low-level imperial, troopers or whatever. So these two biker scouts are sitting there having this, conversation as two stiffs on the job would do. And he's like, come on, let me see. He's like, no, and I'm not going to let you see it, And eventually he shows it to him, and Baby Yoda bites his finger. Baby Yoda takes a punch. And we're just having a little humorous moment, and then we see, they're just kind of shooting at a tin can, killing time, and it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek self-realization moment where, stormtroopers and biker scouts can never hit anything with their blasters, right? They're shooting at like a tin can or I don't know what it is, a part laying in the sand about 5 feet away, and they can't hit it, But that's just a moment to distract us, because all of a sudden IG-11's there. And we know that IG-11's been reprogrammed by Quill to be a protector, to be a nurse droid. He serves tea, he protects Baby Yoda. Now that Quill's out of the picture, he's a full-on protector droid now. And he makes short work out of these biker scouts. He breaks one's wrist. He smashes the other's face into the bike, into the, speeder bike. And he just fucking owns them. And he gets Baby Yoda back. There we see Baby Yoda in the knapsack, back with the IG-11. Boom, we cut back to the hideout where Greef, Cara Dune, and Mandalorian are held up. They're pinned down inside the hideout. They got a whole squad of stormtroopers there, and they've even got some badass death troopers there, and Moff Gideon himself and his TIE fighters there as well. And he's giving them an ultimatum. He's saying, look, we'll just stop all the killing. You guys have until midnight to decide whether or not you just want to hand yourselves over to me. Otherwise, I've got this E-Web cannon here, and E-Web is a pretty lethal blaster cannon, essentially. This triggers a little exposition between the characters in the hideout, where they're talking about how they know Moff Gideon, because Moff Gideon was an Empire soldier in the middle to higher up that was involved in the purge of different groups and different factions within the galaxy that were seen as adversaries to the Empire, essentially. So he was going around eradicating all these different groups of people. Cara Dune, we find out, was from Alderaan, and her people were just completely blown up by the Empire, by the Death Star, right? She ends up being a shock trooper for the rebels, and she knows who Moff Gideon is, and apparently he was supposedly killed for war crimes, for genocide, for killing people during the Star Wars, essentially, during the galactic battle of Star Wars, of the first three movies, the original trilogy. But Mando knows him because he was part of the purge, and his family got caught up in the purge, and that's what caused him to be a an orphan essentially. So, they're having a discussion about that. We're getting some exposition, and they're saying, shit, we're fucking pinned down here. We've got no choices. Grief says, oh man, once he sees that E-webcam, he's like, it's over. We're done for. They're like, well, what can we do? Can we possibly, is there a way out of here? Mando's like, there's a sewer system underneath Mos Eisley, and my people have been hiding down there. We've got a gang underneath in these sewers in Mos Eisley. We can find them. We can get help. But they're unsuccessful being able to get through the sewer grates that's in this hideout area in Mos Eisley. Moff Gideon's like, you guys are fucked. You got till midnight to make up your mind. Otherwise, we're just going to blow you guys away. We know you don't got Baby Yoda. And he's, confident that he's going to be able to secure Baby Yoda in the near future. So they have a discussion about it, what to do. But then they have a flashback of Mando's origins and how he became a Mandalorian. And he says, Mandalorian are the people. It's a creed. And it's a funny little moment because Carl Weathers is Creed in Rocky. If you don't know who Creed is, outside of the Creed movies, if you haven't seen Rocky, if you're a millennial and you've never seen Rocky Balboa, Sylvester Stallone, do your homework. Does a great movie series. Rocky 1 through 6 or whatever. First 3 are excellent. Anyway, but a little funny moment there. Callback, little, what do you call it, an Easter egg to Rocky, Creed. But he says it's Creed, But then we get a flashback, which we've seen briefly before. Just a real brief explanation of how he became an orphan. We know that he was taken out by, his family was taken out by battle droids back in the prequel era when Count Dooku was essentially running things with the clone army and the battle droid army. And we see prequel era battle droids coming down to Mos Eisley, or I guess assuming that some planet near Mos Eisley, near Tatooine, killing his family. His mother and father hide him in this sort of cellar, and shortly thereafter hear an explosion, and his parents are killed, and we see a battle droid from the prequel era standing over him, getting ready to blast him, and little baby Din closes his eyes because he thinks it's his moment, he's going to die too. But then we see the battle droid get taken out by a Mandalorian, and the Mandalorian sticks out his hand, he says, come with me, I'll save you. Now, is this explained later on that during the Purge, that most of the Mandalorians were taken out, because we know the Mandalorian was a race we know that from the Clone Wars TV show, the animated cartoon. But essentially what happened is most of the Mandalorians were wiped out during the Purge, and so they were, I guess, collecting orphans from around the area, getting people to teach them the way of the Mandalorian. And maybe this is why this Mandalorian decided to rescue this kid and scoop him up. Maybe because he understands that they need people, and a lot of people had been affected by this purge. Maybe he takes sympathy and can empathize with this little child. So is that how Boba Fett ended up with the Mandalorian armor earlier on? We don't know. It's kind of explained that Boba Fett sort of just assimilated the armor, but he wasn't actually a Mandalorian. Now this is saying bunch of people aren't Mandalorians by race, but they are by creed. So he takes the child, scoops him up in his arms, and heroically flies away. Now remember this scene because it comes back later, but a Mandalorian essentially becomes a protector of a child, a father figure, so to speak, and he flies away to take him to safety and to train him with his people. A foundling, a foster character. Then we cut back to IG-11, who's got Baby Yoda. They're on one of the speeder bikes, and they're headed towards Mos Eisley to kind of save our heroes who are pinned down. And they've been communicating with IG-11 through a communicator device. It's still at this point, Mando's, very skeptical of IG-11 and droids in general, which is important to this storyline as well. But he's got no choice. It's all, IG-11's got Baby Yoda, and IG-11, I think, I was asking myself, why would IG-11 take Baby Yoda into harm's way? But I think he knows that Mandalorian is his Baby Yoda's true protector, that Quill must have programmed that into his protocol, his protection. information, his imprint, and he knows that Mandalorian is crucial to all this. So he's got to get Mandalorian out of this jam. They're headed back to Mos Eisley on a speeder bike. And it's cool to see fucking IG-11 on a speeder bike. I liked this a lot. It was really cool. And he rolls into Mos Eisley. There's Baby Yoda and a knapsack around his chest. And boom, like IG-11 just lays waste to these fucking stormtroopers in Mos Eisley right outside where they're pinned down. And he's just kicking some ass. And it's just showing you that even though he's a nurse droid now, he's still fucking lethal. He still kicks ass, right? And he just kicking their ass left and right. I mean, he's taking out stormtroopers everywhere. And Cara Dune gets mixed into the action. She sees an opportunity to help, turn the tide of the battle and break up the stalemate. She's like out there blasting people with a huge laser cannon. Mando runs outside. He grabs that E-web off its fucking, what do you call it? He grabs it off the thing and he just starts blasting people left and right, taking out all these stormtroopers, fucking getting some revenge, and then we see a death trooper put a grenade on the door to gain access to their hideout and sort of, get them, go in there and retrieve them, pull them out. But Cara Dune makes quick work of these death troopers, her shock trooper training kicks in and she just fucking kicks their ass with this laser cannon. And then we see Moff Gideon take matters into his own hands, and he sees that down by Mando's feet, Mando's there blasting away with this E-web laser cannon, but he looks down at his feet. He sees his power device, this box sitting there, and he's like, gonna shoot Mando, but he just points down and he shoots that instead. It blows up. Huge explosion, knocks Mando off his fucking rocker, gets his bell rung. He's laying there, and you're like, oh shit, this must have been like pretty heavy explosion. And Cara Dune comes out, scoops up Mando, drags him back to their hideout, to their safe spot. She sees that he's critically injured. Now inside, IG-11 brings Baby Yoda into the hideout. Greef says to IG-11, we can't get through the sewer grate. Can you, use the plasma or plasma torch, or can you get it open? He's like, of course I can. He uses his plasma torch to open the sewer grate. In the meantime, Cara Dune drags Mando back inside the hideout, and Mando's in bad shape, and he's down for the count. He says, I'm not going to make it. You guys have to leave me here. I'm not going to make it. I'm just going to slow you down. I know, I'm dying. She's like, no, you just got your bell rung. He's like, cough, cough, cough. No, I'm dead. I'm dying. And he's like, pulls out this necklace. It's an amulet. It's a Mandalorian signet, I guess, essentially. He says, take this to my people in the sewers. We've got a gang of Mandalorians hiding out down there. Tell them that Din Djarin gave it to you and they'll help you. Take the baby to safety, right? And this is the first time I think we get his name. Din Djarin is his name, is the Mando's actual name. So he says, look, tell them that Din Djarin gave you this, and they will help you take the baby to safety. He's like, I'm gonna die. It's over. IG-11 gets the sewer grate open, but just at that moment, a flame trooper, which I'm assuming is essentially like a leftover clone trooper that's still in the employ of Moff Gideon, comes down. This flame trooper is gonna just fucking roast them like marshmallows. Now I was thinking to myself, why would Moff Gideon want this to happen if Baby Yoda's in there? Because then wouldn't you would assume that maybe Baby Yoda would get roasted too? But if it's a little bit of a plot hole, honestly, unless I'm missing something. But we wouldn't get this awesome scene if it didn't happen. So essentially, Baby Yoda perks up and realizes something bad's going to happen. It has to intervene. It seems like when they're at their worst moment and they're in peril is when Baby Yoda can sense that he needs to do something and wield the Force. So Baby Yoda stands up right before this flame trooper is going to roast him with a flamethrower. Imminent danger. And Cara Dune looks over as she's leaning over Mando. She's like, holy shit. Like, this is the second time she's seen this little Baby Yoda do something insane, right? Baby Yoda uses his power to repel the fire and blow it back onto the flame trooper, and the trooper is on the outside of the hideout. Blows up. Great shot. I really like this a lot, of the Mando looks up for a moment, and the flames light as Baby Yoda's repelling it. He's watching, and the flames light up his helmet. I really like that cinematography a lot. It was really cool. Boom! Flames blow out the stormtroopers outside, and all is well. But Mando is still dying, and Mando is left behind while Cara Dune, Greef, Baby Yoda abscond into the sewers to find the other Mandalorian that are hiding out down there. And IG-11's like, I'll stay behind and I'll nurse Mando as I'll try to help him. And it's an interesting moment. I like this turning point in the episode because, Mando's always hated droids, and it's been a repeating theme. And now he's dying, and the last person that he's with is a droid, and the droid's like, I can save you, but I need to take your helmet off. And he's like, I'll kill you if you take my helmet off. No living thing has seen me without my helmet since I was a child. And he's like, but I'm not a living thing. So he takes off the helmet, and apparently Din Djarin, damn it, I keep doing that. Din Djarin, the Mando, took a brain injury. And IG-11 says, look, I'll hit you with the back to spray. You'll be fine. You'll heal right up. But I had to take your helmet off. So we get a face reveal. And for the first time in the whole series, the very last episode, we see Din Djarin's face. And, it's Pedro Pascal, of course. I think, in my personal opinion, this was a mistake. They should have held off on the face reveal for next season. I think maybe the end of next season would have been better. I think they should have held on to that mystique a little bit longer. I don't know what it is with Disney, Star Wars, to always revealing people's faces left and right. I don't think we needed to have this face reveal Vader moment right away. Right at the end of the season here. I think they could have had the helmet come off, but they could have done it from an angle where we didn't see his actual face. Maybe just from behind, an obscure profile view. But we get Din Djarin's face. We see his face reveal. And he's fucked up. He's dying for sure. But it gets the back to spray on the head, and it heals him. He's like, it will heal you in time. Just hang in there. They go catch up with the rest of the gang in the sewers. Cara Dune is obviously very relieved to see that Mando's going to be okay. And, IG-11's helping him along. He's not 100%, but he's on his feet at least. And he's going to be like, hey, they don't know where they're going. It's amazing, these sewers. But Mando knows where the hideout is, and he's using his tracking devices in his helmet to pick up the scent, to pick up the tracks of how to find the Mandalorian hideout. But when they get there, they find out that Mando, much to his surprise, that his people, the hiding Mandalorian, have been wiped out essentially by what he assumes at first was Greef and the other bounty hunters. The guild essentially thought maybe took retribution on the Mandalorian and killed them all, but Greef denies this, and he says it wasn't us. We didn't do it. We might be bounty hunters and mercenaries, but we're not like that. And obviously Mando's having a moment of grief here because this is his family essentially. But then this character comes out. I can't remember her name. I don't think she has a specific name yet, but it's someone played by Emily Swallow. The foundry, the one that makes all the armor, comes out. She's sort of the leader of this gang of Mandalorian under the tunnels. And she says, it's true. It wasn't him. It was the imps, which they call them the imps, but they're like the leftover Imperial. I don't know. I guess after the war ended, the revolution happened. After the end of Return of the Jedi, there was still a bunch of evil Imperial militants that going around wreaking havoc, and still trying to wipe out these adversaries, maybe rebuild the empire essentially. And she's like, yes, they came down here and they killed us, because in that moment when you absconded with Baby Yoda in the second or third episode, we exposed ourselves and they came and they found us and they killed us all. So that's why we see that big pile of Mandalorian armor there. And during this whole exchange, she's collecting pieces of armor, I guess to they're like a proud people. They're a race of warriors. or people who are warriors, and she's collecting the pieces of armor, but not only to preserve them, but to, as we see, mold them, weld them into something. And because we see the whole time she's giving us exposition that she's melting down some of this armor. During this scene, this is a lot of information going on in this scene between these characters, and she meets Baby Yoda for the first time, and I she is aware of Baby Yoda because Mando had explained to her the situation that they got into before when he got the Beskar and got his Beskar armor. He was telling her about Baby Yoda and how this, this child, this foundling was special. And, she's meeting Baby Yoda for the first time, and he's telling her he can move things with his mind. He's powerful. It's not what he seems. He seems helpless, but he's not. He can do these things. And she's like, oh, yes, I've heard of these sorcerers called the Jedi. And you are now bonded with this child, this foundling, and you're essentially its father. You need to take it back to its people and be sure that it's even though we've been adversaries with these people, we've considered them our enemy in the past, you need to take it to them, these sorcerers, and make sure that he is trained with these people and he's taken care of by these people. That's now your life's mission. And in the moment that we're getting in this exposition, she's been forging his signet finally, and we see that she's welding it to his shoulder armor, and it's a space rhino, of course. And this is because I don't know how she made that mold so quickly. Maybe it's computerized. I don't know. But it's a space rhino, essentially from that second or third episode where Baby Yoda, uses the Force to lift it up to save his life. But that was the first time I think that they bonded together, and she realizes that, and that's why it's a symbol of that's why it's his signet, and that's his symbol for here on out. So he says, I'll wear it with honor. And then she also has a special gift for him. She brings up the fable or the story of the Rising Phoenix, which is connected to their jetpack. So she gives him a brand new jetpack also as a reward. And he replenishes his munitions, his guns, his ammo, all that stuff. So now he's getting back on his feet, and we're beginning to see the old Mando as the Bacta spray is healing his brain at the same time. So he's got all these new toys. Mando's going to kick some ass. It's very important because we'll see in the last scene. But they're like, come with us. She's like, no, my place is here, recovering, scavenging, and preserving what's left of our little gang of Mandalorian here. And she's like, I'm going to stay behind. And we know that these troopers, Moff Gideon's troopers, are chasing after them, and they're going to attack her. But she is a warrior in her own right. And when the stormtroopers come up and find her, she easily lays waste, clobbers these stormtroopers, and she just kicks their ass. I mean, you see pieces of their armor like just being smashed, and one falls in the foundry, and that was pretty fun. I enjoyed that, but she just easily kills them, and I was glad because I was really hoping that we get more of her in season 2, but she's left behind on Mos Eisley in the sewers, presumably to preserve the rest of the Mandalorian, and to keep records, clean up the mess essentially, and move on to the next hiding spot. But also in that scene, she explains to them there's a way for them to escape because they don't know what to do. She's like, go grab that lava barge down the hallway there, and you'll sail right out into the lava flats. I didn't know Tatooine had lava, but okay, whatever. They find the lava barge, but it's stuck, so Cara Dune blasts it free, and they get on the barge, they start sailing down, but then all of a sudden they look in the corner and they see an astromech R2 droid over there, but it's not any regular R2 droid. It's been altered to be this lava barge attendant, I guess. Doesn't really do a whole lot. It's just kind of pushing them along, and they finally see light at the end of the tunnel. They're like, we're gonna make it, but boom, Mando through his mask senses that they're waiting for them on the outside of the tunnel. They're gonna be blasted. Essentially, they're screwed because they don't have enough firepower and they're outnumbered and they're not going to be able to escape. There's nowhere for them to go. They tell the R2 to stop. The R2 doesn't stop. They shoot it. Its head goes flying off. And IG-11 says, you know what, look, you take care of Baby Yoda, and that means I can fall back on my secondary protocol, which is if I get captured, I have to blow myself up. And that will be our way out because it'll wipe out everybody and you guys will be able to get out the door and get away. And we have a touching moment here, which is cool, is because it turns things around. It's a character development here. And Mando, who's hated droids through the whole series, it's been a repeating theme about how he hates droids because he saw his family be murdered by battle droids when he was little. Has bonded with IG-11 and he, trusts him now. And, IG-11 saved his life and he saved Baby Yoda's life and he's proven himself that it's said earlier, that droids, they're just a reflection of the people who program them. They're not good or evil. They just do as they're told. That's how they're programmed. And, IG-11 has been programmed to do good things, to be a protector. And Mando's gotten a little attached to him. So when IG-11 says he's going to sacrifice himself so the group can live, and to have this heroic moment, you actually feel something for this droid. I mean, you wouldn't expect to have this fondness for an IG-11 droid, This repurposed bounty hunter droid. He's lethal bounty hunter droid. Decides it's going to give its life so that that group can, live on and protect Baby Yoda. So, Mando says, no, we can all just kind of blast our way out. And he's like, there's no chance. I'm just going to go self-destruct, take everybody out. You guys will be able to get away. And, it was kind of a sad, touching moment. And I was surprised that I actually felt as much as I did. I mean, this is how this one moment in this episode, I felt more for these characters than I did in the whole sequel trilogy. It's just, and this whole Mandalorian series has moments like that I actually feel something for the characters. It's called character development. It's not that hard. It's just you set something up and you have to let the characters grow together. I didn't feel one moment like that in Rise of Skywalker between any of the established characters. Even when Ben Solo dies, I don't give a shit because the characters weren't set up, they weren't developed. Anyway, mini rant. IG-11 hops out the boat. You can see the lava is having an effect on his body, and he's having this great heroic moment where he's walking out to the entrance to sacrifice himself with the self-destruct grenade that's in his chest, right? There he walks out and all the stormtroopers are there, and then we get this, he says, it's in my protocol call to not be captured and I will self-destruct. Out comes a little grenade and boom, we get this great shot. Great frame, by the way. Look at this. Disney did not waste any money on this show. They really put their money to good use. Great effects here. They blows up the stormtroopers, and our heroes are able to leave the lava channel. I don't know what you call it. They're able to get out, and it's only a short-lived moment of triumph because we hear a TIE fighter come screaming over the horizon, and they go, "Oh shit! It's fucking Moff Gideon. Here he comes with his TIE fighter. There's no way we're going to be able to battle a TIE fighter." And it's funny because Grief says, and we get to see that Moff Gideon's in there. Grief says, "Baby Yoda, do the magic hand thing," and he does like this. And Baby Yoda essentially just thinks he's waving at him, which I thought was a cute little moment. That's what I was saying. Like, you got to love Baby Yoda. I mean, he actually serves a function more than a porg does, so you can't compare the two. That's not going to happen. So we got to see Mando use this new toy, his jetpack, the Rising Phoenix. He's going to put it to good use, and he has this awesome moment. This is the second major action sequence in this episode, and I really like this a lot because this is like some 80s Lucasfilm shit right here. I really enjoyed it. he casts his fucking grappling hook, grabs onto the TIE fighter, and he climbs his way onto Moff Gideon's TIE fighter and was able to plant a explosive device. Remember, he restocked all his munitions. So I think he tries to put one on there and it slips out of his hand, but he manages to get another stuck to the arm that holds the wing to the main canopy of the Moff Gideon's TIE fighter there. And boom, it explodes. Too much to Moff Gideon's surprise. You know, he's horrified. Oh shit, blows up. And we see Moff Gideon's TIE fighter with Moff Gideon inside crash over the horizon. And Mando has this great shot, almost Iron Man 1 moment, where he lands with his jetpack. And it's awesome. It's heroic and fun. And they're standing there, Cara Dune and Greef and Baby Yoda are there, and they're like, holy shit, that was fucking awesome. That was so impressive, dude, like right on. And Greef's like, dude, look, you know, now that all these scum are taken out, let's get back to business. You'll be an exalted bounty hunter in the guild now. And even Cara Dune can come along for some adventures. And what do you say? Let's do it. But there's Baby Yoda to remind us that Mando Jin Doran now has a new mission, which was explained earlier on, that he is now sort of Baby Yoda's father, and he's got to take Baby Yoda back to his people and, you know, be taken into the safety of these space sorcerers, these Jedi, and to be trained to learn how to control this magic power that he has, right? And, you know, Mando is a person of character. Din Djarin is a person of character, and he's got to keep his word. And he feels protection over Baby Yoda. Of course, he can't just keep taking him on these crazy, dangerous adventures in harm's way. So he's like, nope, can't do it. Picks up Baby Yoda, and in this great scene, takes off with his jetpack to go heads towards back the Razor Crest. And he's got Baby Yoda in his arms. And to bring it back around, now Din Djarin, Mando, is now the father, the protector, taking the orphan back to safety to be trained as a foundling. And that was great writing, man. I really liked how they tied those two moments together and showed why Baby Yoda and Mando have this bond, and why Mando, for a deeper connection, has a closeness with Baby Yoda and feels like a protector, a father over him. That was good. That was good writing. Not that hard to do. So then they make it back and to the ship, to the Razor Crest, and Mando buries Quill. We're sad to see that Quill died, you know. And he gives him a proper, honorable burial, as he should, there in the sands of Tatooine. And they board the ship, and then Baby Yoda pulls out, he's chewing on something, and Mando says, what do you got there? And he sees that Cara Dune had put the necklace with the Mandalorian rune on it back on Baby Yoda's neck, where it belongs. And he looks at it. He says, "Why don't you hang on to that?" Appropriately so, because now that's a physical object, a metaphor to show that they are bonded together in this way, which I thought was another little touching little detail. And they take off into the sunset, presumably safe and sound. But we cut back to one more scene where the Jawas are scavenging Moff Gideon's downed TIE fighter, and we see all of a sudden a black lightsaber blade burst through the side of the now defunct TIE fighter, cuts a hole in it, and this is really cool. I was like, is that a black lightsaber? It was awesome. Kicks the door out, and there is Moff Gideon. He's fine. He's got what looks like a black lightsaber, but the blade is in the shape of a katana, which is really, really cool. It looked awesome. This is really an interesting take on the lightsaber. I looked into this, and apparently that specific weapon belonged to the Mandalorian when they were still a race of people. And it was a ceremonial weapon that some higher up in the Mandalorian race used for rituals. And when the purge occurred, Moff Gideon stole that ceremonial weapon and I guess uses it against his enemies. So it was symbolic in nature, and it's a great shot of Moff Gideon standing on top of his crashed TIE fighter, watching Mandalorian abscond once again with Baby Yoda off into space, right? So iconic moment there, great character building. I think Moff Gideon's going to be a great villain, with the likes of which we haven't seen before. Even better than say like Count Dooku. He is ruthless. Giancarlo Esposito is a great actor. I really enjoyed his character in Breaking Bad. He just has a face and a coldness about his demeanor that when he brings that to a villain, it's just awesome. I like this character. He's got this awesome black lightsaber katana bladed thing that looks ominous and foreboding. It looks really cool. And I can't wait to see what he's going to do in season 2. So, real quick, my final thoughts on Mandalorian season 1. Couple bumps in the road, but all in all, production value was fantastic. It was really good. I enjoyed it personally. Some of those big YouTubers out there that are giving it shit, saying that it's really kind of boring and there's not a whole lot going on there. Well, it's not Star Trek The Next Generation, okay? I mean, look, dude, I respect your opinion, but when we're handed something fun and lighthearted, and I think the show is pretty decent, well written. I think that it does retread some tropes that we've seen before. It's basically a spaghetti western, okay? The original trilogy was built off Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey, which is a much deeper spectrum of a sort of story. But to take a character like Boba Fett, a Mandalorian bounty hunter character, and to broaden that with a spaghetti western vibe, I think worked really well. I thought they built the character of the Mandalorian, Din's character, really well over the course of 8 episodes. Making him have mystique and be lethal, but also have a sort of heart of gold to protect this child wasn't an easy task, and they were able to do it. I thought most of the directing they had in each episode was really good. The episode started really strong and ended really strong. There was one really weak episode that was episode 4. I didn't really care for. Wasn't awful, but I just thought it was a throwaway episode. There was another one, episode, I think 5, which was the Gunslinger episode. Was pretty good, not as good as the rest of the episodes. So some of the stuff in the episodes in the middle were a little weaker, but all in all, it all hung together really well. There was great character development. We cared about the characters. There was some sacrifice. Some characters died. Some characters lived. And there were some great action sequences. Disney put the money for special effects to great use. This looked really good. It could have been almost theatrical quality. And love seeing old school stormtroopers. I didn't mind the fan service in this. It wasn't annoying to me the way it's annoying in The Rise of Skywalker. It just seemed to make sense. I am getting a little sick of sand planets and Tatooine-esque planets, but it made sense to sort of set it up in an environment that we were already familiar with. They didn't bring any Skywalker into this at all. It was nice to see some classic stormtroopers, some TIE fighters. We got to see some chicken walkers. Cara Dune, I really enjoyed her character a lot. I think the actress that plays her is doing a great job. I want to see more of Grief. I want to see, obviously, more Mandalorian. I want to see a lot more Baby Yoda. I think they did a great job. I'm really excited to see season 2. It's been renewed. We're going to get some Kenobi next on disneyplus. And I've heard rumors online that they're going to do a Darth Maul TV series as well, which I would be very interested in seeing. Some Robo Legs Darth Maul stuff. Maybe they're going to tie all these 3 things together because they're all in the right. That's not true. This is after Return of the Jedi. Kenobi's going to be after Revenge of the Sith. And I think probably Darth Maul will be after Revenge of the Sith. Somewhere, if he's still alive out there in the galaxy of the Robo Legs. Maybe Kenobi and Darth Maul can tie together somehow. But anyway, long story short, they did a great job. I really enjoyed Mandalorian. Great writing. Filoni and Favreau did a great job on this thing. I was pleased. I think it was worth the $6.99 a month, and you know, maybe I could cancel and come back to Disney Plus later. But what did you guys think of Mandalorian? Was it for you? Did you enjoy it? I know this was a lengthy review, but you know, it's a final episode, so I wanted to get all the little details in there. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please go ahead and hit the subscription button and the bell for notifications. The channel is growing every day. We're at about 725 subs. People are getting really into it and enjoying the content. I hope you enjoyed this review series of The Mandalorian, and I'm gonna keep doing more as the Disney releases more things in the future. My Rise of Skywalker review is coming soon, and I will be doing a commentary track for that as well. And there's some other great content I'll be releasing here in the near future. So as always, guys, as I always say, stay awesome, stay R-rated. Cheers. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. We've got a lot of great content coming for you this year. We've got reviews for movies, comics, and more. And of course, we will always have fan commentaries for the movies you love. Lots of talk about horror and just mainstream pop culture in general. And probably some Star Wars stuff leading up to Rise of Skywalker. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications, and yeah, become a fan of the channel. Let's hear what you want to see. Leave a comment below, and just let me know what you think. Alright guys, talk to you later.